The fact that this book got not only traditionally published but immediately removed after accusations of AI generated content should concern you, not just as a reader or as a writer, but as someone who cares about the literary world. Because this situation doesn't just raise concerns about one book, it raises something much more terrifying. And it's what happens when the publishing industry starts prioritizing speed over substance, and we can no longer tell what is written by a human and what is not. And even worse, what happens when every writer from now on has to prove that they are human? Hello, my gorgeous viewers and readers. Welcome back, or welcome if you're new. I hope your weekend was filled with warm tea, cozy evenings on the sofa, and a slightly unsettling thought. What happens if the books that we are reading right now are not entirely written by humans? Today, I want to talk about a situation that has taken over the literary side of the internet. It's about the controversy regarding the book Shy Girl and its author, Mia Ballard. Now, before I say anything else, let me make something very clear. This video is not an attack to Mia Ballard. I do not know her and I am not involved in this situation. So therefore, my information is limited. And also, I will not tolerate the kind of hateful, racist, and deeply inappropriate comments that I have seen in some of these discussions. Some of you guys are disgusting. Because in this channel, do we critique the systems that allow AI-generated content to be in the publishing industry in the first place? Absolutely, yes, we do. Do we support critical thinking? 100%. But targeted harassment? Absolutely the fuck not. Get the fuck out of here. Because what has my attention here isn't just the drama. It's what this situation represents. And whilst everyone is busy or focused on who did what, very few people are asking, what does this mean for the future of writing? Let's start with the most obvious and probably most uncomfortable part of this conversation, which is AI in creative writing. Now, I want to be nuanced here because I am of the belief that AI is not inherently evil. If we look at the research and the technology, we see that in many fields like medicine, engineering, and research, AI is actually revolutionary. Like, it saves so much time, it improves accuracy, and also it can genuinely improve and save lives. Obviously, there is a conversation that needs to be had regarding the economic and environmental side of AI, which obviously there is a lot of research going on regarding those two topics. But I would say overall, AI is just a tool. What is the problem with AI is how people use this tool. But AI in art is a completely different topic because art is different, writing is different, because writing is not just about producing text, it's about emotion, it's about feeling, it's about representing humanity. Writing is what makes us human. And this is where the line becomes very clear to me, because if you're using AI to assist with grammar, I would say fine. There are other methods, but fine. Or if you're using AI to either organize your notes or even start some research about a topic that you have no idea about, again, fine, that's understandable, but there are other methods that you can use. But using AI to generate ideas or to create entire paragraphs or entire sections of your book, that just makes me ask one question. Are you still the writer, or are you curating an idea that something else created? And beyond the philosophical question, there is also a practical one, and it's that AI-generated content is, at the end of the day, derivative. It is not original. It pulls from existing data. So what it does is it replicates and it mimics. It does not create the way a human does. And if we start accepting that as literature, what happens to originality? What happens to voice? What happens to the very thing that makes storytelling meaningful? Now, let's move on to something that I personally believe is being severely overlooked in this situation, and it's the role of the publishing company. Because Hachette is not a small independent press. It is actually one of the biggest publishing companies in the whole entire world. Like, publishing, especially at that level, is not a simple process, and it involves multiple layers. It involves editors, proofreaders, marketing teams, and even legal teams. There are multiple layers and multiple checkpoints for any books that are being published within Hachette. So when this situation happens, it raises a lot of questions because it is really hard to believe that a self-published book going through all those stages to be traditionally published, that no one raises the alarm. Which leaves me with two possibilities. Either something was missed completely or something was overlooked. And honestly, neither of these options is particularly reassuring, because if publishing houses are no longer acting as the gatekeepers of quality, then what's the point of having publishing houses? And this brings me to something that I have spoken multiple times in this channel, and it's the fast fashionification of the literary world. Because we live in a world where content is constant and books are no longer books. They are products. They are things we market. They are trends, and they are things that we keep in a cycle of consumption until we get bored and then we jump to the next trend. And as readers, we play a massive role in this because we're constantly looking for more content. We want more books. We want faster releases. We want constant recommendations. And the publishing industry has responded to this because they are accelerating content. They are accelerating releases, but also they are forcing writers to create more content faster. Because we have prioritized quantity over quality. And this is why in this environment, AI becomes very tempting because it helps you with speed, with efficiency, and with output. But at what cost? Because when literature becomes fast fashion, quality is the first thing that disappears. But what does this mean for writers? And that is the part that genuinely concerns me the most, because this is not just about one book, it's about what happens next. Because if we normalize AI in the publishing industry or in the literary world, actually publishers might expect more from you, faster deadlines or more content in less time. And that generates an insane amount of pressure, not just established authors, but especially on new authors, writers that are struggling to break into the industry, or writers that are competing in an oversaturated market. But most importantly, something that this situation also creates is mistrust on readers. Because when readers begin to question whether a book is AI generated or not, this does not stay within the reader. This actually spreads. It cannot be contained, as we can clearly see in this case. Suddenly, every writer is under scrutiny, every book is questioned, every success is doubted, and that is a terrifying environment to create art in. And also, now, writers are not only meant to create something good, but they are expected to prove that this creation is human, and that is insanely difficult to do. At the end of the day, this conversation is not as simple as people want it to be. Because yes, we should have conversations about AI in art, and also yes, we should hold industries accountable, but we need to be really careful with how quickly we accuse people of using AI in art, and also how quickly we believe these accusations, and especially how we treat the people that are at the center of these conversations, because these are real people with real careers and real consequences. And if we are not careful, we risk creating an industry where creativity is replaced by efficiency, trust is replaced by suspicion, and art becomes something that we can no longer recognize. And I don't think that is a future that any of us want. That's all for today, guys. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope this video gave you some more context regarding this drama and this situation that has been going on in every single corner of the book community. And obviously, as always, I would love for you to give me your 2 cents in the comments. Let's discuss, let's debate, but obviously, as always, let's be nice. We can also debate on my other social media accounts on TikTok and Instagram. I post that every day. I post more content and also more context regarding the situation, but also please feel free to DM me and then we can discuss further as always. But yeah, that's all for today, guys. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a great rest of your day and rest of your week. I will see you soon. Bye, guys.